Hi, it's Mette here, and I would like to tell you the story today of a man who bought a dream. It's originally a Japanese folk tale, and it was told to me by an English storyteller, Ashley Ramsden, and I am now telling it to you. There were once two friends who lived one next to the other. None of them had a lot of money, but they had a good friendship. And every weekend on their day off, they would go up into the mountains close to where they lived to collect firewood for the week to come. And this particular weekend was the same thing. Up they'd gone, and they'd brought a lunch as they always did. And they hadn't been collecting much wood before one of the friends said, "Let's eat, I'm hungry." So the other one, who wasn't particularly hungry, said, "Okay, why not, if you want to eat." And they ate their lunch, and after lunch, the one who had wanted to eat said, "Let's have a nap. I feel tired." The other one didn't feel particularly tired. He wasn't much of a sleeper, really. But he was a good friend, and he said, "Okay, whatever, we have all day, we can have a nap." And the first friend, well, it didn't take him more than a second before he closed his eyes and he was gone far, far away to the land of dreams. Whereas the other friend, who wasn't tired in the first place, well, he couldn't sleep at all. He just sat there thinking, looking at his friend, looking at the sky, looking at the birds in the trees, trying to sleep, not being able to sleep. I'm sure you know the feeling. But his friend was just snoring away. He looked really relaxed and happy there in the shade under the tree. So the friend who couldn't sleep, he just took to staring at his friend. He did that for a long, long time. While the other friend was snoring away, and suddenly the sleeping friend had a good stretch, a bit of a chew, big old breath in his nose, and then a long out breath, and with it came a bee out of his nose. And then he woke up, smiling, happy, saying, that was such a good nap, and I had the most amazing dream." Now the friend who hadn't slept was very interested in hearing about this dream. "Well, tell me about your dream. What did you dream? You know, I never dream. Please tell me your dream. I'm so curious." "Oh, yeah, it was a good dream. It was like I was in Osaka, and I was in the garden of the richest man in Osaka. And in that garden, there's a little mountain, and next to the mountain is a pine tree, and on top of the little mountain is a bamboo bush. And then, in my dream, I started digging under that bamboo bush, and there I found a jar full of gold." Oh, that's an amazing dream. You know, I hardly ever dream. Would you mind if I buy that dream off you? Would that be okay with you? "What do you mean, you buy my dream? You can't buy my dream. It's just a dream." No, please, you don't understand. The thing is, I never dream. whenever I wake up, it's just a blank, nothing. And if I could buy your dream, it could be my dream, and then at least I would have one dream. Please, please, let me pay you. Here, you can have what I have on me today. It wasn't much. And the other friend thought he was silly anyway. So he just said, oh well, whatever. He took the money and said, it's your dream now. You can have it. Enjoy it. And then they finished their day collecting wood, and in the evening they went back home. And the guy who had bought the dream, he couldn't wait to tell his wife all about it. So as soon as he went in the door, he said, you won't believe what I did. I bought this great, amazing dream. You what? Said his wife. Yes, it's a great dream. It's about a rich man in Osaka who has a garden, and in the garden is a jar full of gold. Excuse me, said his wife. You're talking about a dream here, not facts. Am I right? Yeah, but it was very peculiar. And I have a strong sense about this dream. I have a sense that I need to follow that dream. You're mad, said his wife, and forgot all about it. But the man would not stop about this dream. He continued to nag her and tell her how real he felt this dream was, and how if only she would agree to borrow some money from her parents, who were quite wealthy, well then he would be able to afford to go to Osaka and find out about the dream. And in the end, the wife got sick and tired of hearing all about this dream, so she went to her parents' house, and they reacted much the same way that she had done, and she sort of explained to them that this was very important to her husband, and she did love him, and sometimes he had these strange ideas, and they were like, yeah, that's true. What a fool he is. Why did you marry such a fool? Why didn't you marry the man we told you to marry? But that's another story for another time. I will not go into that, and she did not want to go into that either. But somehow or other, and she was after all the favorite daughter, she managed to get some money out of her father. Enough money that her husband could travel the long way to Osaka and not have to sleep out on the road. He was able to go into inns on the way as he was walking along. And it was a very long way. It was about 450 kilometers by foot, over water, through forests, in the open land, and in the closed-in bits too. But he got to Osaka in the end, and when he got there, well, he didn't know exactly where to go, so he started asking around. Who's the richest man in Osaka? And it didn't take him long to find out, because everybody knew of Kibi-san. Kibi-san, who lived at the edge of the town, just a little bit up the hill, overlooking the whole of Osaka. He lived in a beautiful mansion, almost a palace. And was there a big garden at the back? Oh yes, there was. So the man went to Kibi-san's house and knocked on the door. And after a bit of a kerfuffle with one of the servants, he got to talk to Kibi-san. Are you Mr. Kibi-san, the richest man in Osaka? Yes. Do you have a little mountain in your garden with a pine tree next to it? Yes. And on the top of the mountain, is there a bamboo bush? Yes. Now Kibi-san thought it very odd that this stranger knew these facts about his garden, so he invited him in and gave him a drink, and they had a few chats and a little bit of a drink, and then As the evening went by, the man told Kibi-san of his plan. You know, I happen to know that under that bamboo bush in your garden, there's a jar full of gold. Well, at least I believe there is. I had a dream. I saw it in a dream, and I would really very much like if you would let me dig up that jar of gold tomorrow, and then, well, whatever gold I find, I will give you half, I promise. And if you could give me a few servants to help me as well, please. I will pay them with the gold I find. Well, Kibi-san offered this man a bed to sleep in. He gave him food. And before he himself went to bed that night, he thought, this is indeed a peculiar situation. If indeed there is a jar full of gold in my garden, I'm not going to let this stranger have it. So he sent out a group of servants to dig up under that bamboo bush in his garden. And they dug, and they dug, and they dug, and suddenly they hit something. They cleared the ground, and there was a huge clay jar. They picked it up. Kibi-san himself went towards them. He picked up the lid, and as he did, out came a bee, and away it was. Kibi-san looked in the jar, and it was completely empty. A fool's dream indeed. Quickly, they put the jar back in the ground, covered it all up, and the next morning, when the man woke up, Kibi-san told him, I only had that bamboo bush planted very recently, so, it'll be very easy for you to dig up because the ground is still quite loose. You won't need much help, but I'll send 2 servants with you. Oh, thank you, Kibi-san, Kibi-san, thank you so much. And the man hurried to that bit of the garden with the mountain and the pine tree and the bamboo bush, and they dug up the jar. And they took out the jar, and the man could feel how heavy it was. He was so happy and so excited. He lifted the lid, and it was empty. There was nothing in the jar. He couldn't believe it. He had felt so sure. Had it all just been a dream? An imagination? A nothing? He felt so confident that his dream had been real, and now he was here in Osaka with nothing, no money, no gold, just a clay jar. He apologized again and again to Kibi-san. I'm so sorry, I was going to pay you all this money, and now I only have a little bit I can give you. I don't know what to say. And Kibi-san, well, he just laughed. Well, at least you've given me a good story to tell. And so the man began on his way, his long, long journey back home to his wife. He was walking very, very slowly. He was not in a hurry to get back home. What was his wife going to say? She was right. He'd been a fool. So, as he was walking, he was thinking of what he could do. Was it even worth going home? But he knew in his heart that he loved his wife, and he hoped that she too, after all this, would still love him. And finally one day, he saw their little house, and he saw the door open, and out came his wife, running towards him. Big smile on her face. Oh, he couldn't bear to tell her the bad news. Oh, but she just ran towards him and gave him a big hug and said, "You won't believe what happened. A few weeks ago, suddenly I was sitting in our living room, and suddenly there was a bee that flew in the window and up in a hole in the attic, and I could hear it buzzing upstairs, so I went up to look, and as I came up there, the whole of the attic, it had gold pieces flying in from all the sides. I couldn't believe it. Our whole attic is full of gold." Oh, unbelievable. Well, then, suddenly the man felt his heart leap in joy. After all, that dream had been the right dream to buy, and they lived happily ever after. They truly did. Now please remember, if you liked this video, if you like the story, do press the like button, and feel free to leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. See you soon. Bye.